Hello everyone, this is Dryan001 and we're going to be doing a video today that I would like to call Strat Chat. It's basically where we're going to be going through Overwatch and going through different strategies, some coaching techniques, theory, a bunch of different stuff, and I'll have guests every so often. I have a friend that will be joining us, AGCN, Cyanide Silver, and we'll be going through. This will be used for college tournament help and just overall for fun. But this is a video that I got from myself. I recorded this, got a new computer and everything, so now I'm able to record and do videos. So perfect. And this is of course going to be Moira gameplay, and we're going to be talking about Moira in this video. Maybe be jumping through different things to Moira and kind of figuring out stuff there. But it should be fun. We'll go ahead and start in. Couple of things to mention is during these gameplays that I did do, let me make this quieter just in case. Some things that I did notice was she's very fluid in what you do with her. You can either play her very defensively or, well, very damage heavy or very healing heavy. You have that mixed with her. And I find that a lot of the times on the PTR you're doing more damage, mainly just because you don't need that healing to be happening. So a lot of the times what I've noticed is I'm considering her as a secondary healer, where she's healing where it's needed. She's never healing out of combat, she's always healing in combat, because usually you'll have that second hero that can heal as well, and you'll just have them heal your allies out of combat. She's not really useful with that healing out of combat because then you lose that resource. And so I find a lot of the times that you're using her in combat and you're not really having a lot of mechanics outside. So she's very brawl heavy. And as you see, we came right out and we used the orb and got D.Va Defense Matrix. And her orb's really easy to get taken out by a D.Va Defense Matrix that I've seen. So you pretty much have to be very careful. You can see I just tossed that orb through there right as the D.Va left. And it's just because you need to know that it's a very useful tool, and you can see I'm using it to basically kill the Doomfist, and I'm getting a little aggressive just to test out how aggressive I can get, and that's why I'm coming around that corner and taking this flank. I mess up that throw. This is literally, I think this is my second game I played on her, so I'm like messing around and stuff. I might switch to another gameplay. I had another one on King's Row that was pretty decent. But you can see a good trick with it, and I was having bad accuracy. This is late at night when I recorded this. But a trick with her that you can tell is you have to bounce the orbs. You can see I'm bouncing off the ground, and what's happening is when you bounce it off of something, it has, and I would like to draw. So let me draw, like, I'll actually go back to rewind. Okay, there we go. So playing forward, right when I throw the orb. Okay, so the idea is if you throw the orb straight at her, and I'll do a projectile path for the orb in green. Let's do it in green. Cool. So you see if I go straight at her, she has this distance the orb covers and the time in which it deals damage. But if you knock it into a corner, then you have more distance, because if you do basic trigonometry, the base of the triangle plus the height of the triangle is longer than the hypotenuse. You'll have more time in which you can do damage and or do healing. So you want to get that bouncing effect on it. And I've noticed a lot of the times you can bounce in an orb through someone. And it's kind of a weird idea, and I tried to do it here. You might see me do it a little bit later, but you can see what I'm trying to do is she's next to a wall. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the orb into her, doing damage as it comes in, and then it's going to bounce here and then back at me. So while she's in this little area, it's gonna be around that. And that's what my original thought was, but it ended up going past into here, which still worked out. So it's kind of one of those things of you're trying to keep it constantly on her. And I'll have some gameplay footage that I show you where you can set it up where you're constantly doing damage on someone. And that's kind of the big thing with Moira, is you need to know where people are going to be. And basically when you're using orbs, you want to be throwing it with intent. So if there's someone you need to heal, you throw it to heal them. If there's nothing in between, you can just throw orbs through and just constantly do damage. And that's the thing that I can tell a lot of the times, is I'll just be spamming the damage orb, because 10 seconds really doesn't feel that long. You get it up pretty fast, and it's really viable to be doing that constant damage. But overall, damage and healing, I haven't been able to feel much of a difference. She's an opportunist in both sides. Her healing's very nice. You can see I bounced off of the ground, and that's the other idea, is you get that arc down, the arc back up, and it's slowing down as well. So you want it to slow down for as long as time as possible, because it slows down the more it gets used by other people. So you want it to have a hang time in areas. You can see it's just going across, and it's done a ton of damage to that diva. And there we go. We already have ultimate, and haven't really been doing much to this except going flanker. So she has a decent ult charge time. You can see that I'm actually overcommitted into the back here, and that's something you're going to be noticing. I think I die here, but here I have like 4 seconds left on my my ability cooldown to get out. That's the thing you need to be noticing, is that you need to have the ability to get out if you're in this position. You can see I get, so I get killed right then and there. Of course, this PTR, and there's not really any good setups with people in it, proper team comps. Some things I have noticed is that if you're Moira and you're trying to do damage, try to be doing damage to, that's another thing as well. Try to be doing damage to squishy characters, because that's a big part of her kit. Another thing you can see me doing is just toss and healing. And I'm not going to be healing for much. Don't expend that resource very much. You can just use it to just flick it on and top someone off. That's something I've noticed. What else? The thing as well is, with the debate of if she's viable in healing or damage, basically you're going to be using her for healing. And if you're going to be using her for healing, you need to use her for damage. And an idea that you can use is using that bouncing technique. And a cool thing you can do is, and I imagine in competitive play what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to call out where you're throwing your orbs. You're going to basically be saying, hey, throw an orb down that hallway. You throw the healing orb, Genji goes after it and uses it as a second person. It's kind of like creating personal Lucios, and you just kind of toss them in a hallway with your ally and they go do work. So you can have a presence in places that you shouldn't. Another thing, and this is the clip, you can see I know where she is, and so I just throw that orb straight at her. I can throw it and I don't have to worry about it. And I know that it's going to have a presence up there and put pressure on that Widow. And the Widow's going to have to figure out what she's going to do. And you can see it didn't do damage, but she had to move out of the way. So she's out of the line of sight and I can move in. So you can create that possibility, and you can see now we're having a lot of damage being done to our allies, and so we're helping out there. And I was having problems with triggers this time. Now I've pretty much, you can see, so there's 2 people being damaging this Hanzo. You know the Hanzo's gonna die. So what I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to capitalize and kill him before, because this Hanzo is pretty much lost. You can see that the Hanzo actually survived, which I'm surprised. But you can see I have this pressure that I can constantly create, and it's pressure that can't be really ignored, and I have this easy get out of jail free card. You can see I just throw that orb straight into the ground. What I should have done was bounced around the walls, because I would have had more time with it with me. And so that's one aspect. You can see he's ulting right there, so that means I want to pocket him. The thing with her is you can get in and out of places quickly. So you can get in and pocket people. And I'm not sure if I do it this time, but I could actually legitimately use my ult and just help him out. And just do that. But I just take the healing way out, which works out, but I would have been justified using the ult. You can see I'm just getting that constant damage in. Another thing to notice is armor really kills her damage. And so what you want to do is hit people that don't have armor. And you see that I'm now focusing on that diva now that she doesn't have armor. And you can kind of see how that's playing out. I'm going to pretty much kill her. Yeah, you can see. Yep, she's down. And I'm basically, I know I'm going to be getting shot by that turret. But the turret's doing about, I believe, 30 damage to me. Can't remember the exact damage, but I'm healing for 30, and I'm standing in that soldier health pool. So you can do stuff like that with Moira as you figure out what damage you're taking and what you can deal, and you can see that I'm just going on them, and there we go, doing that damage. And now I'm going through to just push up and get more damage done. Now, something that I shouldn't have done is I didn't want to go around this corner and get hit by someone or hit right here. But the problem is I'm standing in this choke point, and that's one thing that you kind of want to do as Moira. You want to heal through and do damage through the choke, but you don't want to be in the choke. Very similar to other characters. So you can see I'm strafing side to side, and I'm out because I should have died there. And you can see I'm quickly going to heal. But yeah, I've been playing a pretty aggressive playstyle with her, and you can see I'm trying to set up angles with her, and I thought that if I hit this edge that the geometry would knock it through so that I can use it, but I believe it just goes straight back at me. Yeah, it went straight back at me. So I actually just end up just hitting it straight there, and it bounces over. Works pretty well. You can see that I'm holding up further than other characters would be, like Mercy, or Ana, or Zen, and it's because she fits a play style that's very similar to Lucio's, and I want to cover this where she creates this weird pressure with her that's similar to Lucio. She can heal a mass amount of people because her healing can hit multiple at the same time, and she can also use that orb that heals multiple people at the same time. And so she has a lot of this utility that's good for the front lines because her range is really good, but at the same time you have to realize that you can't do anything if you're trying to snipe. So you have to be in the thick of it in the fight, and so that's why you need to keep this shift on a lower cooldown. But you can see I can hold this positioning up pretty close, but not be under any scrutiny. And you can see I'm pulling back here because I didn't need to be up there that much because there's no one poking the corner. And you can see that my orb's is doing damage, and that's one thing that's going to be key is you get ult charge off of that. And if you can just spam that, because a thing that people have to remember is the healing orb technically does better. Between the two, use the healing orb, but in situations you want the healing orb for people that need healing fast. You want the damage orb for times in which you're not using it for healing. You'll find you'll be using the damage orb more than you think. And that's something I noticed. You see we already have it back on us, and we're just going to hit it straight right there, and it's going to bounce over and basically get damage done. And you can see I'm getting hit markers for damage, and it bounced straight up in the air, which is pretty decent because basically what it did was it came across, hit this side, and just went straight up, but it had 2 points of contact. And that's where you saw that the tick, 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 boom, tick, tick, tick. And that's kind of the idea of getting passes on the enemy team. So you can see I'm the Widow, and I'm like trying to get out as fast as possible. And I see pretty much everyone and their dog. I try to take the Junkrat head on, which was stupid. Remind you that this was very late at night. So another thing as well is you can, the orbs are meant to be, you're throwing an entity of yourself. So she really is like spawning like helpers for you. And that's something to keep in mind is you can just throw these out there and they do things, especially if you place them in the right area. And that's a big key to her complexity of her kit. And you can see I can just throw that up there and just get a bunch of damage done. But it passes them. You can see also that you can see a blip of that Widowmaker, and I'm going to be throwing an, I believe, an orb at myself or an orb up there pretty soon. I should be throwing an orb at myself just to get healing. No, I just get back. That actually is a better idea. That was a smart move. You can see a lot of my team members are just standing there and not really getting much done, which is kind of entertaining, so you can understand why I end up with, I think, like a good amount of golds in this. But you can see, like, she's getting just healing back, and it's also hard to figure out because, yeah, you're getting healed by the Mercy at the same time, but she heals herself for about 20 health, so you can always count on getting that passive healing back on you. And you can see I'm just taking these guys head on, and then now I really don't need to be on that head on fight. If someone's at half health, I can bounce the orb around and just kill them. So you can see that I step back there. And another thing is her shift is really good to get you out of ultimates. As something I noticed, and I think I have a clip of it, of me dodging a Diva ultimate. And it's just, you time it just right and you're invulnerable. And you can see I'm taking out the Junkrat, but he got out of his orb pretty fast. So I'm deterring my attention away to just get a confirmed kill on the other one and hope that he doesn't hit me. And you can see that I just go to just try to kill him because I know he's going to kill me. And that's how the orb got him in the end. And so that's really her big part of her kit, is getting value out of those orbs. And it's so easy to not get value out of the orbs, but at the same time it's so easy for people not to shoot you while you're shooting them. So it kind of falls into the same problem that Symmetra has. This is me trying to just get quick healing on him, and I should have probably bounced around this corner. It's just another thing to get better at. And I actually did bounce around the corner. I did! Okay. I thought I didn't there, but I did. But you can see I'm just putting pressure on people, and you can put this free pressure and just get out with shift. It's very similar to Sombra's playstyle, in which you just get in, put pressure, and then the moment you get hit on, you just start moving back. I really wish, because there's a lot of times in which you kind of get screwed over because you're stuck damaging something. That's something I've noticed, is there's a bug on the PTR right now where you can target stuff you're not supposed to. And you can see I'm just doing constant stuff in here, and now I'm just using my ultimate to get stuff done and basically ending out with a wash. But hey, I ended up with passive healing, and I'm at 200 health. All the damage I took, I'm on 200 health. And pretty much you can see I bounced that off the ground, hoping that it actually bounces off the ceiling. Boom, there it is. I ended up getting healing from it. That's another thing to remember as well, is where the orbs are going to end up. That was actually pretty decent play. And then you start throwing orbs to create pressure in areas. And there's a lot of combos you can do, because the orbs actually do a decent amount of damage where you can get away with that kind of stuff. Let me switch to... what's a good one? Switch over to this one. So yeah, this is another one that I was on attack on. And I guess now we'll the first part of this clip's actually very interesting, and I like this. You can kind of punish people, and it's kind of cool because you can put your enemies in locations in which you know that you're going to be doing damage to them, and you can just get that consistent damage. So you can see you have that person go past there, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm just gonna throw a thing into them and then push. And you can pretty much combo people down by this, and this is around the time in which I noticed, yeah, you can see it's bouncing. It's going to bounce to that corner, bounce out, and it's going to do about half of her health. You can see, boom. And she's having a health because her friend's actually healing her, because I didn't know she had a friend choking up with her. And that's when I found out. And so I started immediately trying to get out. But I have my orb back, so I just throw it down that hallway. And now that orb is actually going around that entire corner. And this is actually pretty hilarious. You'll see it. It's chasing her, and it comes back to finish the job. And That's actually pretty interesting. It's getting that pre-planning. You basically need to pre-plan your moves before you're actually doing them. You can see I'm just trying to heal now, and we're pushing around this corner, doing a ton of damage with the orbs all at once, and then I'm gonna pass through them to get a flank on the other side, and that's pretty much how you do it. You're trying to get angles on people. It's more Hanzo-esque than actually Hanzo is getting angles on people, and you're looking at getting bouncing off, and you can see that now it's like, oh my god, I'm not gonna be able to get any damage onto here. But then you get ultimate and you start ulting. A thing that I have noticed is aim for the person behind everyone when you're ulting, and it's actually an interesting idea, and it's something that you'll notice if you're playing the PTR, because if they're ulting, then the person in the back's not getting healing, and that's when you usually kill the person in the back, and then you just work down from there. Never target the person in the front unless they're high priority. And you can see that I'm trying not to die here, but it's nearly impossible. So a couple things to cover is some of her uses. One thing that I've been noticing a lot of people have been talking about is some of her counters and stuff, and something that people don't realize is her passive is actually her self-healing pretty good, and that it basically, if you combine it with a healing orb, you can out-damage a Winston, and 1v1 a Winston, it's pretty decent, or just get away from a Winston. So you don't have problems with Winston, in contrary to other people might think. You're pretty good against Genjis and Tracers just because you have consistent damage, and they can't really get away from your orb if it's just chasing after them. And you can see I'm targeting the person in the back all the time. Your person in the back, and then I think I actually got play of the game for that. But yeah, you can see I'm bouncing the orbs, trying to get the most area, the most hang time in an area at a current moment. You can see I'm still getting damage, and that's just because you're getting it into places that you either unintentionally got it into or intentionally. The one thing that I think is pretty good about her is her anti-Pharah, because she has a range of 20 meters, which, to put into perspective, Roadhog's hook goes 15. And Roadhog is known to hooking Pharahs out of the sky. That's kind of considered a counter, but you can just shoot her, and it's very consistent damage with her. That's a big thing with Moira, is it's probably the most consistent damage you can have, because it has more of a range than Winston. You can see I'm bouncing the orbs around, and I got credit for that one kill. You can see up here, got credit for it. Got a double kill out of that whole entire engagement. You can see I'm just throwing orbs and got credit for that kill. You're putting orbs in places, and you're getting value out of it, and you're trying to figure out where the best place is, and that's where the map knowledge comes into play. But back to the Pharah talk. You can be very consistent in doing damage to Pharahs, and that's one of her biggest things she can do, is you can just start taking out Bar Mercy very carefully, and you can see that I took that engagement right there, and she has that selective engagement, and you can see that now that I have a friend, I'm just going in, and I got both of those kills, because I was able to get healing and just back in, and then get the damage orb in and start making work. You can see I'm starting to go around this side because I wanted to test if I can just bounce right there, and I've been trying to get angles, and that's something you'll constantly see is doorways. You can hit the corner and bounce it out of the doorway, and that's something I've been really liking. Along with her consistent damage, she has a lot of momentum that she brings, and that's one of the things I like. I play Lucio a lot, and one of the things I notice is there's points in which you can start rolling, and you can see that there's times in this clip where something happens and I just start chasing after people, and that's a thing that you can do as Lucio because you have that quick mobility, and you have this mobility here. And you can see probably in the play the great game for this of that momentum you can create. That rush factor. I love how this guy was like, easy play the game, and I got it. But you have that whole rush factor of, now as you see I got the one kill, I'm getting closer to them so I can get to it, and then now I'm pouncing. And then start going around, and it's that pounce mentality, and I want to see if I can. Yeah. So it's this clip. Yeah. Okay. So you see, I get one kill, I get the second kill, I move forward, and I start getting that momentum pushed in. And so we get one kill, and we just rolling the ball, and that's something you do a lot of times with Lucio, is getting that ball rolling. Other clips. That was a really fuzzy, weird game. This is one on Junkertown. Go through that. Bottom line, one of the things as well is she has this help from afar, and it's her healing or damage orb, in which you can send it to an ally, and it brings me back to team comps with her. You can run her in hybrid comps because she likes to be around big groups of teams. You can use her as like in a death ball or stuff like that, but it's very interesting because she does better healing in groups, but she doesn't need to be in a group. She can still get decent healing out of it, and it's just this value that you get out of her is very different. And one thing that I find that can very well happen is having your orbs you use as dive, which is a very interesting idea. You throw the damage orb in to get damage from afar, throw healing orb in with the dive group, and you do all of that, and you can see that I'm like choking up, and I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. This is a different day. But yeah, you can see I'm just trying to get things done and figuring out what's going on. As you can see, another thing as well is, and it's a very same play style as Lucio, at least how I play Lucio. I find a lot of the times I do enabling, where I basically tag team with an ally, and we just start rolling and doing damage together. And you can see we're getting rolled here. And I'm just trying to figure out different things I can do and doing damage and all that stuff. It's very interesting. And going down to team comp again, a lot of the stuff with her is you need to be close in a group, and you get value out of healing bigger targets, and you get value out of damaging small targets. And that's the thing. She's really good against squishies, but overall has problems. You can see I'm throwing that damage orb, just trying to get that extra damage on. I'm gonna ult pretty soon, I believe, just to make sure that I don't die, because I believe you do get a self-regen increase while doing that, but you can see we just roll them then. And she's very mobile. She can get in and out and have that power onto her. Her ultimate's very similar to a defensive ultimate, where you're doing mass amounts of healing, which is about 150 health, but you're not really, there's not really anything else besides that, so you are kind of vulnerable even though you have a weird regen. So it's kind of like very similar to Mercy's ultimate in that aspect, with the capabilities of having that help. But you can see right there, we're just consistently putting damage on that diva, and you can see that I'm having terrible aim. Feels bad, man. But just getting that consistent damage and figuring out engagements in which you can win or which you can't win. And it's just getting that damage figured out. The more you play with her, the more you realize her damage. And you can see I almost kill her, but she was able to get out, but then she died anyways. So some things, is she viable? I think she's completely viable. Any healer is viable, and you can see I'm also attached to that card. But any healer is pretty much viable. I think we learned that when Ana came out, was everyone went, yeah, she has better healing, but it's not consistent healing. She can't get that consistent damage, which really isn't true, because then everyone went, oh wait, what if we actually hit a shot? And then she ended up being pretty decent. So I really think there's going to be a place for Moira eventually, if today or maybe not tomorrow. So it basically comes down to is she meta? And I think her capabilities to have consistent damage and that mobility with that pressure that's very similar to Lucio's pressure and her room pressure she can create and that spam. You can see I'm going to dodge this right here. I get that for free. I get that every 6 seconds. I can dodge life or death ultimates, Junkrat's ultimate, everything. So it's very consistent in what you do. And you can see I just tossed that that ball against the wall to get more value and healing off of it, is to get that pass over and then the pass back. So yeah, it's the thing with her is you need to know how to play her. And I think initially she's not going to be meta. I think she's going to be tried by pros, but the problem that's going to happen is they need time with her. And the thing as well is, and this is something that people need to realize, is that new heroes don't take the place of old heroes. You never have that, you see, he got that triple kill because the orbs just got a bunch of people. Quad kill, my bad. But getting that consistent damage out there is pretty good. But she's going to be filling a different role. She's not going to be filling the same role. And I imagine team comps are going to be made around her. Very similar to basically every healer. They're going to have their own team comp. You can just see we're full holding them here, and it's just, you have to have good positioning with her. You have to know what you're doing. Not being able to do it, but you have to know what you're doing. What she needs changed, I do think her ultimate has kind of piddly amount of healing. I'm okay with the damage. I just think that the healing is a little underwhelming, and or damage, I don't care. It just doesn't have that much potency out of it as I wished it would have. Let me first map. Yeah, I wish that it had consistency in it. I love how this is this clip here. But yeah, just getting that consistency out of her and knowing how to play her and getting the value out of the orbs is going to be a big part of her kit. Overall, maybe for nerf she might get a range decrease because her range is a little interesting. I don't completely agree with her range, and maybe a cooldown increase on her shift. I think that that's the only things that we would be seeing changes nerf-wise in the future. You can see you can just throw those orbs in for free and you get the bounce in and then the bounce out. And it's pretty good there. So that pretty much covers it. I really think she has a place, and I know I'm gonna be using her in team comps. It also depends on what happens to Mercy. If Mercy is still a must pick, then I don't see her in that position, because I would rather have that Zen or the Lucio with the more defensive ultimate. Overall, she does better defensively because you're already in positioning, but it doesn't change by that much. You can see in just getting that rolling there, and I end up dying because I overcommit. By the way, it's my first. That's my first game that I actually touched and played on her. Played the character. So, yeah, that's pretty much the big parts of it. And let me see what that is. Yeah, so it's literally just getting this damage and healing down, getting that consistency on there. But yeah, there's a lot of like ways you can play her. And it's very fascinating. I think she's going to be a fun character, and I think she really needs to be looked at. If she gets picked in a pro match, bottom line, it's going to be to counter a Pharah, because having a healer that counters a Pharah is pretty good because it fills up a slot for your DPS, and a lot of the times you have that problem. Updates. You have that problem where your DPS player has to go and get that value, and you just don't really want that. It would be nice to just throw an anti-Pharah from a tank or a healer, and she does a pretty good job at taking out a Pharah. I didn't have the pleasure to catch a lot of Pharahs because I didn't see a lot of Pharahs being played. It was usually Moira, but usually if you actually see, and best thing is every single time you would see an Overwatch YouTuber like mention that she she has problems against Farah, and then they immediately get a kill on Farah. Well, against the Farah. So it's kind of interesting. So interesting things to think about. If anyone has any questions, please comment down below. If I didn't really walk through damage numbers or anything like that, just because I'm not really looking at giving you guys information. I'm just giving you more speculation on what I imagine we're going to be seeing. Eventually, I know she's going to be meta. Straight up. She's going to be a must pick at some point. Whether it's today or tomorrow, who knows. But right now, she can get out of ultimates, even Graviton Surge. She can get out of Graviton Surge. She can get out of ultimates. She can kill Farah. She can do a ton of healing. I think she's viable enough. It just depends on how much oomph Mercy has. So that's going to be it for me, everyone. Please like, subscribe, comment, and if you're coming from the main Discord, college Discord, welcome. See you at practice on Friday, but for me, tomorrow. Yeah, so that would be that. So everyone, thank you for watching. Arrivederci, sayonara, have a nice day. Bye.